you're going to find yourself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you're off in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races. Only up front, they are getting a weird, but the Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin. And I would say it's not the best decision I've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately, isn't it? What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the out pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped you all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Oh, Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well. Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third. Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of the line. It's now Pike. Good on a go. Werrell, don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Bill Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah. And it's all about the entertainment, so I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's not a second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
It's a good evening, a hello and a welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the JP Broadcasting YouTube network and back once more for the penultimate week of the Tanso Racing Group GR86 Season 3. And tonight, races 11 and 12, event 6 of this championship takes to Japan, to, of course, the Okayama International Circuit, one of the lesser known circuits in Japan, it must be said. Quite a beginner level circuit when it comes to the iRacing service, but one that is very easily overshadowed. But I think in these GR86s is definitely going to provide us with some fantastic racing. My name is Zach Sweeney. I'm alongside Callum Mileham in the commentary booth to talk you through each and every single bit of action today across our 2 races in 20 and 25 minutes of length, respectively. Callum, welcome in, of course. It's another week and another chance for these drivers to deliver some good stuff.
Yeah, another chance for sure. We were looking at the points just beforehand in the green room, and my God, there's some close standings out there at the minute as well between some of these drivers. There's, we did look at 3 in particular, and we'll get into those soon. But there's a lot on the line tonight between a lot of these guys. So this round here at Okayama and the final round at Silverstone, I believe, is going to be huge for these drivers. So a lot of good action yet to come tonight and next week as well.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of the championship, let's take a quick look as to how things rack up in the pro standings. Harry Fox leads the way. That's the AMS. Callum Mileham, he's getting there slowly but surely. Harry Fox leads the way on 340 points ahead of John Sylvester for Platinum Racing Team, only 9 behind, which is pretty much nothing when you have a 2 race per week format. Daniel Wareham rounds off the top 3. He's a little bit adrift, but not a million miles away. Ryan Dudley and Mark Brown round off the top 5 for the pros. Neil Rock's only 13 points back, and let's not forget, the top 5 are the ones that get trophies at the end of the season. So those that are close behind that 260 mark are going to be aspiring to get as close as possible to it come the checkered flag at race 2 at Silverstone. Moving over to the AMS, and it's a little bit more of a easy affair for our championship leader in the lesser of the 2 categories. Not that they're any lesser of drivers, just they've been sorted into the AMS. It's Mark Proctor that leads the way on 403 points, the only AM to break into that 400-point margin. He's followed by Joe Glass and Shane Cotton, who are matched on points 381 apiece. Then got a bit of a gap back to Andy West, and then John Johnston and Hussein Sarakadesla in P6. Quite close in that fight for 5th, as I say, in that fight for the trophy hunt. But in terms of the top 3, a little bit of a breakaway. Still potential, though, if things go amiss for Mark Proctor. Talking of those championship standings, though, Callum, we have still got 4 races left to go. 45 points on offer for each race win. Plenty on the table.
There certainly is plenty on the table, and like you said, there's still quite a lot of drivers in it. There's still a lot of them eyeing up a trophy potentially at the end of this season as well, kindly provided by JT Johnson himself. He's obviously in the running for one of his own trophies as it stands as well. So it's going to be a lot going on, I think, over the next couple of races. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch these guys as they go around. And I'm not too sure what's going on here, but they're standing seems to be floating in midair and not disappearing. So bear with us while we try and sort this one out. But yeah, it's going to be close over the next couple of sessions. We'll have to see what happens, but looking forward to what tonight brings.
Absolutely. Well, as it stands, they are in their 10-minute qualifying session, of which they can get a couple of laps under their belt and produce the best time possible. And, well, of course, it's the 18th of June, 2023, and to those within the UK, say Happy Father's Day to your dad. Happy Father's Day to all the people that are blessed to be fathers out there as well. We get the pleasure of commentating on this amazing day. My dad is in full support of it. went off to Snetterton today, and he was very, very pleased to get rid of me. I think that was his Father's Day present in of itself, just to get rid of me for a day. But anyway, we're moving on, and we've got some action to sort ourselves out with as well. Around a circuit like Okayama, though, Callum, what are we thinking in terms of qualifying importance? How crucial is track position in these GR86s, because car choice and car track combination really does have a big say in how important qualifying is going to be. These GR86s, they're fast, they're agile, they're nippy, they're good at overtaking, but Okayama's quite tight and twisty.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's a couple of straightaways, as you can see. We've got a car going down one of the straightaways at the moment in lovely pink livery there, but apart from those straights, it is, you know, very twisty and turny, like you mentioned, and it's going to be critical, I think, with exit speeds in these corners and maintaining your rhythm through some of them as well. So I think the key tonight will be try and get the better exits of the man ahead, and hopefully down some of these longer straights you'll be able to use that drafting system to your advantage and slide by your opponents as you crawl your way up or potentially down the grid.
Yeah, it's very easy to go both ways. We always talk about how easy it is maybe for some people to go forward. Also on the flip side of that, how easy it is for people to go backward. One bad start or a mistake through one corner, particularly at the start of the race, and you are talking about a completely different narrative in terms of things, even if you feel most secure. Was it Snetterton today, as I said, and watching some of the GB3 racing, Callum Mileham came into that day, championship leader, on the pace at Snetterton, rapid, and unfortunately, on sort of lap 3 of the 12-lap race, he got tagged round by the person he was fighting for the race lead. It just goes to show how easy things can happen across all categories of racing, and just goes to show that even though you're the quickest person on track, doesn't necessarily guarantee you a spot on the top step of the podium.
No, it certainly doesn't, and I think another key thing tonight will be consistency as well. You know, there's a lot of curves in this track, and there's a lot of stuff you've got to keep on top of in terms of braking points and things like that. So the main thing tonight will be keeping on top of all of that for these drivers, and that's just going to be crucial all throughout the evening, I believe.
100%. Consistency, pace, and patience are sort of the main ingredients that craft a fantastic racing driver, and that's pretty much universal for all disciplines of racing, whether it's sprint, endurance, rallycross. If you've got patience, if you've got consistency, and if you've got pace, chances are you're not going to be too far off in terms of where you need to be. At the moment, following on with Lee Rylands, he sits 5th as it stands in the qualifying standings. He's closely followed by Jordan Hadfield. That fight for first, though, between Alex Sylvester and Mark Brown is looking quite tasty, in all fairness. I mean, Alex Sylvester is at 7th in the championship and only about 16 points off where he wants to be if he wants to get himself inside the top 5 and therefore a trophy. However, Mark Brown is definitely keeping him honest. There we go. Eventually, there in second place, about a quarter of a second off. Taking a look as to those who are yet to start or yet to complete a lap. Just trying to think. I've not seen Harry Fox put one in. He's now out on a lap time, I do believe. Daniel Wareham goes quicker, but Harry Fox is waiting a long time to put time in. There he is. It's decent, but is it going to be enough to see him maybe take where he wants to be? Because John Sylvester has just been able to top his direct championship rival's time and nearly get himself onto pole position as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight between a lot of these guys. You see John Sylvester not far behind Daniel Wareham at all, and the other Sylvester just behind him. So the battle for Sylvester's at the top there, which is going to be a bit interesting tonight. I think it's going to be quite intriguing to see those two going around sort of nose to tail and seeing which Sylvester will come off the better. I do have to apologise to those that are with us on the broadcast at the moment. We did have a little issue there. It's finally been resolved thanks to the big man himself, James, who's managed to help me fix the problem, and now you guys should have a clear viewing, because we couldn't see the standing still, but you guys could apparently, which is a bit odd. But hopefully everything's all okay now and looks okay, and you know, you're able to see what's going on now. But as you can see, like Zach has mentioned, you know, things are going to be close tonight. You can see Mark Brown not in his normal spot, which is at the top of the grid, but he's in P6 in a minute, just behind Ryan Dudley. Ryan Dudley's really picking up the pace. I've seen him quick in a couple of different championships this season. I do the GT4s with James, and Dudley's quick as lightning in that as well. So great pace from some of those guys out there. And I mean, well, Zach, I mean, apart from the bottom two probably have a bit of an off lap or maybe a cool down lap, and that's the only one that's counted. But apart from those two, try and find a gap in between that grid for me. I don't think you'll do very well at it at all.
No. Well, the biggest one is between Shane Cotton and Lee Rylands, which is about half a second. Apart from that, no, it's not quite been topped by Dave Clark to sort of separate it out a little bit. Richard Flutie goes up to 7th, but yeah, it's looking pretty good in terms of the competitiveness here at Okayama, which, to be fair, is very good. It's not like at the Red Bull Ring where there's less corners and less opportunities to make up time, so naturally it is going to be closer. It's a minute 43 lap, and there are so many different technical corners around Okayama. You know, turn 1, turn 2, the commitment, the flow through Atwood, the hairpin at the back end as Mark Brown now takes pole position by half a tenth ahead of Daniel Wareham. So many different corners that take different lines and levels of commitment and bravery and things like that. The fact that we have got a very competitive qualifying session speaks volumes as to how competitive this field is, because to stay this close in a car like this, at a track this length and a track this technical, is mightily impressive.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I had a good race today in the Ferrari GT3 Challenge. It's just all just Ferraris, you know, same manufacturer race, a bit like Tanso is at the minute, you know, all same manufacturer, same car and everything. And that was the closest race I think I've ever seen in a single car championship like that. And one thing Tanso has done really well all throughout the season is mirrored that, and had some close competition all throughout the season. The amount of times that, whether it's been, you know, we've had many people doing the broadcasting and commentating for Tanso over the last season or two. You know, we've had Dan, we've had Dean as well, myself, Zach, and all of us have struggled to keep up with all the battles that are out there. So all throughout the season, these drivers have been just going hammer and tongs at all the battles and leaving absolutely nothing out on track. So it's just fantastic to see, even at this late stage, that they're all still going for it. There's a lot on the line, so there's a lot to play for, so you can imagine they will, but it's just good to see they all still have that fight in them, and no matter what, they're just going to keep going.
Martin Lee has come into the YouTube chat to talk about his painful left foot braking that he's experiencing. And he's basically said, sod that, I'm going to put it on pole position for the AMs. And, well, fair play to him. And, well, yeah, fair play. I mean, he's getting the excuses in early, which is fair enough, as a racing driver should get it in. I have suggested to just do a bit of right foot braking because, you know, you got 2 feet for a reason, use them. But hey ho. He's about a quarter of a second clear of Shane Cotton, who, by the way, is no mean slouch at all when it comes to that AM Championship, because he's up there in second place. So Martin Lee, that lap is sensational, not too far off the back of James Bostock for the sort of the back end of the competitive pro cars. Qualifying has drawn to a close though, and it is not separated by much at all. Mark Brown, Daniel Wareham, John Sylvester, and Alex Sylvester 1, 2, 3, and 4, and about 0.2 of a tenth and a half really separating them as we take to the grid. As I say, Mark Brown, Daniel Wareham share the front row with and all Sylvester second, 3 and 4 for John and Alex respectively. Championship leader Harry Fox rounds off the top 5 with Ryan Dudley keeping him for company on row 3. Richard Flutie, Scott Kostrick 7th and 8th with James Bostock and Martin Lee the top 10 and pole position for the AMs despite his issues. Shane Cotton, Neil Rocks there in 12th place overall. Beyond that, we got Hussein Sarakadesla, Stuart Briz, Braley in P14, Lee Rylands, Adrian Hadfield, Dave Clark, Neil Kennedy, Marcus Law, and Joe Glass. We'll let the rest of them funnel their way through all the way to the back end of the field. John Johnson was the one that took the 26th and final spot on the grid in qualifying. Incredibly close qualifying session, it must be said there, Callum. Looking forward to this race. Who is coming out on top?
Well, I'll be rude not to mark Brown's name down on the pen and paper for today's race and for today's Heat 1 winner. So I've got to put my money on Mark, really. He's going to do an awesome job of defending, I reckon. Well,
you've heard it from the horse's mouth here, folks. Well, who's it going to be? Mark Brown, Daniel Wareham, John Sylvester, Alex Sylvester, Harry Fox. Who knows? We are just waiting on Adrian Hadfield in 16th place. He'll get himself onto the grid, and then the beautiful 5 red lights will come on, they'll go out, and we'll be underway for 20 minutes of racing action here at Okayama for race 11, the first race of event 6 for the Tanso Racing Group GR86 Season 3 Championship. Hello and welcome, of course, to everyone that's now tuning in to the live stream on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. We welcome you in, of course. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications to not miss a thing that comes your way in terms of sim racing action. Still waiting for Adrian Hadfield there down in P16. Waiting, of course, for either him to get in or the game to say, you know what, you're starting from the pit lane, mate. 2 minutes have elapsed and, well, Adrian Hadfield will be starting from the pit lane. The engines rear up, the drivers get ready to go for a standing start towards turn number 1. Brown and Wareham share the front row with the 2 Sylvesters in behind. We are go here in Okayama. A fantastic start from Harry Fox as he threads the needle through the middle of the 2 Sylvesters. Gets himself up in a 3rd place. A dominant start from Mark Brown. Daniel Wareham able to keep 2nd place as we run our way through the right hand of turn number 1. A little bit wide for our pole position sitter. Harry Fox, though, with the start of the century, carving his way up to 3rd.
Yeah, fantastic start. And one thing I didn't see that we've seen, well, one thing I didn't see, sorry, that we've seen quite a bit throughout the season is no jump starts today from what I've witnessed at the moment. Normally we do have 1 or 2 that are a bit eager on the accelerator pedal straight off the start of the race, but it looks like we didn't have any of that today, and it sounds like we've got a bit of carnage down at the back. It looks like Neil Kennedy's falling down the grid rapidly. Yep. Ooh. A lot of smoke there, possibly lost on his own, but then again, there's a lot of carnage at the start there, and as you can see, there's a lot of cars that are close at the minute, so not too sure what's going on here, but what a battle we have down near the back of the grid at the minute with, well, we're on board with Jordan Hadfield, we're targeted on him, but there's so many cars going around. It's luckily we've got a picture of his car, but if not, you'd be struggling to pick out which one's him, really, with the amount of cars that are in that area at that time.
Oh, that's wide from Andy West. Sorry to cut off you there. He's just way too wide through the infield section. Car off on the inside there is that Richard Flutie losing a place, and that's a little bit further up. But yeah, Joe Glass not with the best of qualifyings. He's up a place off the initial getaway, but the AM Championship 3rd place man is going to want to try and claw his way back ever so slightly in this race as to not lose too much ground in the championship. Moving forward though, we round off lap number 1. It's Brown, Wareham, Fox, Sylvester and Sylvester, the top 5. A bit of a breakaway though. Alex Sylvester falling off ever so slightly from his relative of John. Side by side potentially for the place just a little bit ahead of us. This is Daniel Wareham trying to nip his way up the inside of Mark Brown. Nothing really materialising there, but the more Wareham goes for a move, the more Harry Fox seems keen to, well, become a fox amongst hens, it must be said.
Yeah, and one thing to remember as well is the top 3 that were close on points. That's both the Sylvesters and Mark Brown, I believe it was, at the top of the championship standings. So there's a lot of things that are tight between them, and all of them within the top 5 cars so far this race. So they've all had a fantastic start, and they all want to claw their way up as soon as they possibly can as well. You can see Daniel Wareham trying to get all the points he possibly can and go side by side into the next turn. This long straight is where the draft matters, Zach.
It is indeed a bit of a look, but nothing really much into probably the most prime overtaking opportunity on the circuit. One of my favourite corners here at Okayama. Love it in the Formula 4 machinery that we have on the iRacing service. Love this circuit in general in the Formula 4 machinery. I'm sure it's going to be no different in these GR86s. Daniel Wareham now leads from Mark Brown and Harry Fox, who looks ever so eager to find a way through. Same too with John Sylvester there just in the background. A direct fight in terms of championship points, it must be said. That pro field, Harry Fox, John Sylvester and Wareham gaining some good points as it stands. This race alone would be a 9-point gain relative to Harry Fox, which would, well, dent it by, well, get it down to 17 points, which is definitely a step in the right direction. If he can keep that pace up to the end of the season, the championship will be his.
Yeah, and remember, we're at Silverstone next, I believe, so it's quite a wide track, so there's a lot that could go on there, and there's a lot of room for battling, but we know that Mark Brown is very, very good on tracks that are slightly wider in terms of how much tarmac there is to use, and Okayama's up there in terms of width, but we've definitely seen wider tracks so far this season, and Silverstone's going to be one of them, so it's going to be interesting to watch these guys battle out around there next week. But at the moment, the battle is in Japan and will stay in Japan for this evening, as all these cars come around the long right-hander, leading up towards the back straight now. And this is I would argue, probably one of the longest straights, if not the longest on the course. I'm not too sure how this differs from the home straight. I haven't actually got my tape measure out to check it, but I believe this is if it's not the longest, it's definitely the second longest. And this is the key place for draft that we spoke about, with these cars getting close together, bunching up and trying to go for moves, as you were saying, you know, onto that right-hander at the end of the straight and trying to get your nose up the inside, or try and even send it around the outside if you have the momentum. And it's one thing Harry Fox nearly had on Mark Brown by the looks of it at the end of that straight.
Yeah, indeed. So into Redmond Corner, this little sort of hairpin kind of that you find your way at the end of this mini straight. It's such a good opportunity to just go for a send. If you just put the car on the inside, chances are you are going to be given space. So easy to do, but also so easy to counter-attack at the same time. I think it's a fantastic place to get a job done if you can stay close and maintain, as you say, that momentum through Revolver and Piper, the two infield left-handers that lead you on to that mini back straight. Here is the pit straight, and well, it's not really going to take a tape measure to sort of see the visual difference in the difference of the straight length. We tick off though another lap, and Daniel Wareham is stretching his legs out in front. If Harry Fox wants any chance of winning this race, he needs to dispatch of Mark Brown as soon as possible and try and close in on the pink machine in front.
Yeah, and we know how difficult it is to get past Mark Brown. You know, we've seen it all throughout this season. It's not anything, you know, it's not anything easy to do. But saying that, Harry Fox is going to make me eat my own words as he tries to go up the inside of Mark Brown. Mark Brown does well to defend it, but not enough for Harry Fox, who gets past him, I would say with ease, but certainly sort of the last 50% in that corner, it did look like he'd done it with ease as well, making easy meal of Mark Brown there around the inside. But he's going to have the inside line again leading up into this next turn. Well, Harry Fox, is he going to manage to keep it? Looks like he's going to keep his nose out in front, but remember, Mark Brown's now going to have the inside line leading into the next turn, and then following on from that, once again, he'll have the inside line, and it's now bunching up with the Sylvesters just behind as well. Those two really want to get in front of Mark Brown based on points, and it looks like John is going for the move up the inside. These cars are going to go 3 wide into this turn, and it looks like, oh, thought there was a bit of contact there, heard a bit of door bashing, but John Sylvester gets through. Sorry, no, Mark Brown has just pulled it back actually, and got his nose back out in front, so close between the Sylvesters and Mark Brown.
Indeed, so we've lost, oh no we haven't, we've not lost James Wostock. I think it was a bit of an STK funny moment. Mark Brown into third, John Sylvester fourth, Harry Fox up to second. 2.3 now is the gap between the two race leaders. Brilliant battling, it must be said. Great respect given between all involved. 42.9 for Wareham. Across the line, what's Harry Fox going to set? 44.0, that's of course because he's been battling for the entirety of the lap. Now they've got a little bit of clean air. Harry Fox a second clear of Mark Brown. You might be able to see some true potential. Send to the inside from John Sylvester through the quick flick to the left-hander of Williams at turn 2. Nothing really materialising there, but I think it's more just a case of trying to put some pressure on. Now as we head towards Atwood Curve, the very, very long looping hairpin. Great corner if you've got the momentum. Fantastic corner to get right. A pain in the backside if you get it wrong, but it's all about exit. It's all about putting your foot to the floor and rising your weight through this back straight towards the hairpin. What can John Sylvester do? He's eager to get himself onto the podium.
He certainly is, and he's kind of making sure Mark Brown knows he's there. You can see the mirrors of Mark Brown's car easily, and I'm sure Mark Brown can easily see not only the mirrors but the entirety of John Sylvester's car lurking just behind him, sort of sniffing around both inside and outside on that straight. You know, he's making sure he's visible to both sides of Mark Brown, trying to put the pressure on and hopefully making Mark Brown sort of drive in his mirrors almost, and focusing more on what's behind him that's in front. And Mark Brown's had a bit of a slip up there. His car kind of choked around the corner, a bit of braking and turning at the same time, I believe. And is Mark Brown not feeling the pressure, Zach?
Oh, he's got to be. Oh my word! Yep, that answers your question. Mark Brown with a huge mistake. It's spiraled, it's snowballed, and he's off the road at the penultimate corner, leading into the final corner. He's down to 8th place and has lost so much momentum in this initial race here tonight. Harry Fox in second, John Sylvester able to pick his way up into third. And oh my goodness me, that is sensational stuff when it comes to John Sylvester. He's going to be loving life side by side here as Lee Rylands fights with John Johnston just in behind him there in 22nd. But for John Sylvester, Alex Sylvester, Ryan Dudley, Kostrick and Flutie, they're going to be loving the fact that Brown has just made that mistake. It's so easily done though, getting on the power too soon, running too wide, into the gravel, and on iRacing, you might as well be in a boat.
Yeah, 100%. And unfortunately, you know, Mark Brown, we thought he recovered and we thought he held it very well down that straight, but then it looks like it got the better of him, and yeah, it just sent him a lot wider than what he was hoping for. But we've seen Mark Brown do comeback drives before. He's only P8. He's not miles and miles away. You know, he's only a few seconds back down the road from where he was. So I remember seeing it many times last season, even in the practice races when me and Dan were covering those, and we saw it early this season as well. Seen it at some of the practice events I've had this season. Mark Brown has done many last to first challenges in Tanso Racing Group, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see something spectacular here. But remember, we're halfway through the first race and there is a reverse grid, so does Mark push on and get as many points as he can, which I imagine he will do, or is he going to sit off a bit more, like try and chill the nerves, calm the pace down a bit and relax, and then shoot off for race 2?
Well, we'll wait and see, I suppose. That is going to be the big question. I mean, Mark Brown is in a good position when it comes to that race 2 reverse grid, and we'll wait and see, obviously, what comes about of that. Now halfway through race number 1, however, and still a lot left to uncover as Alex Sylvester tries desperately to work his way through. Still unsure as to what the relation is between the two Sylvesters. Not entirely sure. Alex Sylvester, though, rather than looking forward towards his dad's brother, I don't know. We won't guess. We won't speculate as to hopefully not offend them. Ryan Dudley, though, is going to be the main bit of attention for Alex Sylvester, as he is trying so hard to put some pressure on. And, well, in the end, it was Ryan Dudley that fell victim to said pressure, pushing a little bit too hard, tagging the rear end of Sylvester, and a flash of the headlights. Why? Right, okay. Yeah, I don't know. That just seems like Ryan Dudley is a little bit annoyed at himself as opposed to... Surely he's not annoyed at Sylvester for that.
I wouldn't have thought so, but...
He's just driven into the back of him.
Yeah, I do wonder if maybe there's a little brake tap possibly from Sylvester. Maybe didn't have full confidence in the car getting around the corner. Thought it was going a bit too quick and applied some brake pressure maybe. So that could potentially be the reason why Dudley's flashing him, but not 100% sure because I didn't have a good view of the brake lights at the time. So hopefully it wasn't any brake checking there, and I'm sure if it wasn't intentional from Sylvester. Because Sylvester's main worry is catching up to Harry Fox and the other Sylvester, who are currently battling out at the minute, coming into second to last corner now. And here they come around the last corner, leading up the home straight. John Sylvester's currently got himself up into P2, tracking down the leader. Now, one thing I do want to mention, someone that's been doing rather well, slowed down a bit now, but they were doing very well near the back of the grid at the moment, is Neil Kennedy, who's rapidly gaining on a lot of these cars, and he's just making easy work of a lot of these cars down the rear end of the grid at the moment. I've seen him drag up 2 or 3 positions in the last lap, so he's having a race and a half at the moment. Yes, alright, he's not in the top 10, but fantastic drive from him so far, just getting past JT Johnston, as we see there in the last turn of this lap, and we're over the halfway mark now. Only 7 minutes to go, Zach, so things are going to get tense now. It's getting into Fergie time.
Indeed so, yeah, absolutely. Not long left to go at all, as Neil Kennedy is fighting quite hard. John Sylvester and Harry Fox as well aren't too far away. Mark Brown on his pursuit up the field finds his way past Richard Flutie. It's all happening all at once. John Sylvester up now into second place, so Wareham and Sylvester, a good race for them. It's not a massive gain in the championship, but it's a gain nonetheless. It's one they are definitely going to take small steps now to the end of the championship. If they can finish ahead of Harry Fox, they can close the gap in that pro championship.
Yeah, that's the one main thing that it all comes down to tonight, is points and closing gaps and extending gaps as well. You know, if you're at the top of that table, you need as many points as you possibly can. Because if you want as little pressure as you can in the last race, you know, you want to go out there and enjoy it. Not saying these drivers won't enjoy it, but they certainly won't enjoy it as much if they've got a ton of pressure on their shoulders. You know, we all know what it's like when you've got pressure weighing down your shoulders. It's just the same as going for that dream job interview that you've always wanted. You know, it's pressure you don't want. You just want to go out there, you want to enjoy it, you want to get the job done. And that's what all these racers are going to want to do. And, well, you know, you got to say Dan Wareham's doing a top job of that at the minute, almost 5 seconds clear of John Sylvester, so he's taking pressure off his shoulders. Race 2, reverse grid, you know, he's going to be mid-pack, but he's got maximum points out of race 1. He's done his job so far. There's still more to go though, and Harry Fox and John Sylvester, well, they're putting extra pressure on their shoulders from battling out for, well, majority of this race so far.
Yeah, indeed. So it's, well, always a pressurized environment when it comes to racing drivers, let alone racing drivers in a championship fight, and, well, especially when they're going toe to toe. Daniel Wareham, even though he's chilling 4.8 seconds out in front, he is still definitely feeling the pressure, but nowhere near the amount that Sylvester, Fox and Sylvester are bringing to the table. It's a Fox sandwich with some good old Sylvester bread on either side of him as well. Fantastic stuff as we enter the final quarter of this race. Stay tuned though, of course, because we flip the top 15 on their head and we go again for 25 minutes just after this. If you are watching along on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, make sure to like, subscribe and turn the bell on for notifications, as well as not miss a single thing that comes your way in terms of sim racing. We broadcast absolutely everything. There's always something on. Just ask Phil. He is here without fail to 90% of all the broadcasts. He knows what we do. He probably knows JPB better than most of the employees of JPB. So yeah, make sure you are sticking around, because this is a fight you are not going to want to miss. Harry Fox now back on the offensive as we ride following Harry Fox and John Sylvester in a straight drag fight. It seems the Fox has got the legs on the straights as he looks to the right hand side into turn number 1. He's got the advantage. He's kept it under wraps through the apex. John Sylvester has no shout or any means of a counter attack, at least for now. It's a good move from Fox.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Fox has done it with only 4 minutes to go, so the pressure is going to be on whether he can get that position held in P2, or John Sylvester can try and get a comeback on, or maybe even try and bring the other Sylvester in on it, but that's probably something he's not going to want to do, considering they are battling out for the points as well.
Potentially so. Well, we'll wait and see. Of course, don't be shy on the YouTube chat as well. Those watching along at home, do give us some of your thoughts, feelings, queries, questions, whatever might be tickling your fancy in the YouTube chat. We always love to hear your predictions, your thoughts, your feelings, whatever it is. It's always nice to sort of bounce off you guys. Who, of course, you are. You're there. You're keeping us company. We'd like to hear from you. Yes, of course, there's a virtual screen blocking us, but we can still have a conversation. Neil Rocks and Shane Cotton probably aren't going to be having much of a conversation as Neil Rocks finds his way up the inside. The two teammates didn't really need much of a conversation to talk about the swapperoo there. Neil Rocks ahead now of Shane Cotton, who leads the way in the AM proceedings and is looking to close the gap on Mark Proctor, who, by the way, isn't here today. So, big gains then for the likes of Shane Cotton and Joe Glass and Andy West and etc, etc. John Johnston as well. He's going to be benefiting off this in 5th place. Well, I'm assuming they don't have drop scores. If they do, this would be Mark Proctor's drop score. However, 22 points is the gap. As it stands, Shane Cotton is in 11th, which means that he is going to be scoring 20. Already, that gap is basically done and dusted, and we're not even into race 2 yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're doing anything in terms of drop rounds, to my knowledge. So unfortunately, Mark Proctor is just going to miss out on some valuable points, and it looks like we've got a bit of an off track there. I think it's Jordan Hadfield in the Subaru livery off there, unfortunately for him. But yeah, I don't think they have a drop round, so I think Mark Proctor is just going to have to take this one on the chin, and hopefully he's around for the final round of the season, which I'm going to confirm, because I keep saying I think it's at Silverstone. I think isn't good enough. Let's have a little look. Yeah, Silverstone Legacy. So, you know, hopefully he's around for that one and can grab the maximum amount of points he needs to from there to solidify his position in the championship standards and potentially either go up or maintain wherever he is in the championship. And yeah, hopefully all is well for him as well. So hopefully the reason he's not here tonight isn't anything too serious or anything to worry about.
Fingers crossed, of course. Here's a bit of a fight to sort of sink our teeth into. Richard Flutie versus Scott Kostrick in the fight for 6th. They've got Mark Brown as well, just a little bit in front, who's driven quite well, it must be said. Of course, did get that pole position in qualifying, has tumbled his way down, had the mistake, clawed his way up to 5th, which is a good thing from Mark Brown. This late in the championship, however, yes, it's good to limit the damage, but you cannot afford to have the damage in the first place. You cannot afford to put yourself in a position to be on the back foot. Mark Brown again, it's not going to seal the deal. It's not going to be the be-all and end-all of this championship. It's just not going to be the step in the right direction if he wants to claw back any amount of points in the championship, particularly in that very, very close fight for 5th as well. I think he is still doing enough. Alex Sylvester is the one putting the most pressure on him. But yeah, in terms of his individual championship fight, it is always good to just do the best that you can, and unfortunately for Mark Brown, the win was on the cards today.
It was on the cards, and it is very unfortunate for him. Like you said, you know, you don't want that damage at all. What a photo we have here, photo opportunity and a half. Get your cameras out, ladies and gentlemen, as you see both the Sylvesters chasing Harry Fox down, and so far this has played out massively in both the Sylvesters' hands. We'll jump on board with John Sylvester in the middle of the pack here. The middle of these three in this battle for P2 is what it is at the moment. A bit wide there for Harry Fox, probably feeling the pressure. I believe we are on the last lap, if I'm not mistaken, and Harry Fox has gone. He's in the wall. Both Sylvesters move up. Harry Fox has collided with the wall. Not good for him whatsoever.
Championship leader Harry Fox collided with the barrier. He's lost a couple of places. He's into 4th. Not the end of the world. However, someone who is going to be on top of the world is Daniel Wareham, who puts his best foot forward in terms of a late championship charge. He has commanded this race from 2nd place. He crosses the line victorious here in Japan for race 1 of our 2-race event 6. Races 11 and 12 of the Tanso Racing Group Season 3 GR86 Championship. Daniel Wareham has definitely had fireworks in race 1. John Sylvester and Alex Sylvester make up the podium as well. Good feet forward, it must be said, for Wareham and Sylvester. Also, for both Sylvesters as well, in terms of their individual championships, as we wait for the rest of the field to come through. Shane Cotton victorious in the AMS. Well, basically ruins the gap that Mark Proctor had in the championship and closes it down to just 2 points between the two of them. Very important race and a lot of championship implications made.
Yeah, this is a huge race, and there is a lot on the line, and unfortunate for Mark Brown and massively unfortunate for Harry Fox as well, who had a great position and on the last lap had lost it. All. He collided with the wall very late on, and very unfortunate for Harry Fox, but both the Sylvesters, you know, feeling out of this world right now. You know, P2 and P3, 2 Sylvesters on the podium, and getting as many points as they can just behind Daniel Wareham there, and that's going to help their chase big time in the championship standings.
It is indeed. Well, as soon as we can, we'll bring you up the results of race number 1 before we head over into a quick warm-up, and then 25 minutes of race 2 as well. I think we're just waiting for a couple more people to cross the line, and then we'll be able to grab you those beautiful race standings that you can see, actually, in all fairness, on the left-hand side of your timer tower. Waiting for Adrian Hadfield to round off the lap. He didn't take to the grid, but still took to the race, so respect in that regard in terms of, you know, getting to the checker flag, still competing in the race. And here he comes, put our way back, and there we go. Across the line, Adrian Hadfield, 26th and last in this race. I'm quite mean to say, but he didn't actually take to the grid, so fair play for getting to it. Now we will bring up the results. And, well, race 1 was one to remember. 20 minutes of action from start to finish, it must be said. And loads of important news in terms of the championship. It's Daniel Wareham that does a good job as to closing that 26-point deficit back to Harry Fox in 1st place. The 2 Sylvesters of John and Alex 2nd and 3rd. Harry Fox, the championship leader, though, in 4th. Mark Brown rounds off the top 5 from pole position. Would have been the last thing that he would have wanted to see, but some good damage limitation nonetheless. Scott Kostrick, Richard Flutie, Ryan Dudley, Law and Rocks, the top 10 and the main contingent of the pro field. Shane Cotton victorious for the AMS, with Martin Lee just behind in 12th. Then comes out in Hadfield, Stuart Brielli and Joe Glass. Hussein Sarakadezla as well, the top 6 in the AMS. We'll let the rest of the names cycle their way through just to sort of get everyone through. You can see all the way down to Adrian Hadfield as well. Top 15 reverse loop for race 2. Callum, what are we thinking? Who's going to come out on top? Who's got the best pace to deliver here at Okayama today?
Oh, reverse grid in mind. Oh, that's a tricky one. As a tricky one, I backed Mark Brown at the start of race 1. Unfortunate incident for him, which didn't land him the win, unfortunately. Who do I think is going to win this one? Oh, I want to go one of the Sylvesters, to be honest. Their pace was good, and they're going to have the advantage. But at the same time, saying that, I almost want to go Mark Brown as well, because I know he's very good at cutting through the grid, and he's higher than both Sylvesters and your race winner for race number 1. So I think Mark Brown has the advantage points-wise for race 2. So I think I might have to back the boy Mark again.
Well, we saw how that went last time, so we'll wait and see. At the moment, they're in a 5-minute warm-up, of which we're 2 minutes of the way through. Let us know as well in the YouTube chat, by the way, guys. You've been awfully quiet. We promise we don't bite. James has had a word with us. We've had our shots. We're all good, all right? It's all good. You can comment. It's a safe place. Don't hesitate to talk to us. Give us your predictions. What are you thinking going into this race? Anything you'd like us to answer? Anything you'd like us to talk about? Any major talking points that we may have missed? Anything like that? Just let us know in the YouTube chat. Of course, if you don't want to, you don't have to. Of course, we're I was about to say we're very capable of doing our jobs. Probably not. But anyway, we'll do our best. Is that consensus? Halfway through warm up. Again, I probably have already asked you this season, Callum. How do you use this 5 minutes? Do you get out on circuit? Do you do that practice? Or do you go and get a cup of tea?
I think it depends who you are and where you finish in race 1. So, as an example, I had as I mentioned earlier, the Ferrari GT3 challenge that I done earlier this morning, just to see where I was in terms of my racing ability. And I found towards the end of the race, my nerves were getting the best of me and my legs were shaking a bit. So if I had a 5-minute gap between one race and the other, I would take it to relax. Calm the nerves, chill. Especially this point in the season, you know, there's a lot of points on the line and it's critical you get every point you possibly can. So I'd be using this 5 minutes to chill out. If I need to, or if I think it's going to help my confidence, I'll go do a lap or two. Because, you know, 5 minutes, you can easily get a good 2 to 3 laps in it, depending on how quickly you get out of the pits. So you could use this time wisely for that. But others, I feel, prefer to go off, grab a cup of tea or coffee or a couple of biscuits, maybe hug the other half before you have your second race, come back all peaceful, and go again and fight it out once more and what will be the final time here in Japan for tonight. What about you, Zach? What would you do?
Exactly the same, to be fair. I'd just sit there, go on my phone, get something to eat, make a cup of tea, whatever. Pretty much, to be fair, same thing I do when it comes to commentary. If I've got 5 minutes, I'll step away, go to the toilet, something like that, stretch my legs a little bit, stretch it out, come back. You feel refreshed. Even if you're, say, doing like a 2 hour or 3 hour stint or whatever in the commentary booth, and I know I'm segueing ever so slightly, but it's still the same principle. If I'm doing like a 2 or 3 hour stint in the commentary booth and I go away for 10 minutes and I breathe and I relax and I can come back and I'm like, sweet, I can do another couple of hours and I feel refreshed. I feel like I've just started another broadcast and I come in with that same new broadcast feel. But if I took away that 10 minutes and I just did 6 hours straight, I'd feel so burnt out, ran out of things to say, would be waiting for it to end. No offense to any 6 hour races that I've done. But yeah, I think it does apply in a similar sense to sim racing. If you've just done a 20-minute race and you're exhausted and you're thinking, my word, all the pressure, all the nerves, all the adrenaline, and you sit there again, you're continuing to do that. All you're going to do is make it feel like a chore. All you're going to do is make yourself feel like you're forcing yourself to do it. Just step up, stretch your legs, do some yoga. I don't care. Go stroke your dog. Go say Happy Father's Day to your dad. I don't care. Whatever you do, step away, chill, come back, breathe, go again. 25 minutes on the clock. A new chance for you to redeem yourself. We are moments away from getting you the grid up as well for race 2. Here it is. Perfectly timed. It is Joe Glass who takes the pole position. He'll be joined by the 99 Stuart Briley on the front row. Ayrton Hadfield and Martin Lee 3 and 4. Shane Cott in the top 5 with Neil Rocks keeping him for company on row 3, the first of the pros. Marcus Law, Ryan Dudley 7th and 8th with Richard Flutie and Scott Kostrick, the Scotsman, rounding off the top 10. Mark Brown, Harry Fox, the championship leader, rounds off row 6 with the two Sylvesters once again keeping each other company on row 7. Race 1 winner Daniel Warren rounds off the top 15, and that is art reverse. The rest of the field is how they were at the end of race 1. Hussein Sarakadesla, P16, Bostock, Kennedy, Rylands, Morrison, West, Johnston, Hadfield, Clark, and then Randall and Hadfield to round off the field once more. Not too far away. Hopefully we'll get to the action a little bit sooner. Who's coming out on top in race 2?
I've still got to back your boy Mark Brown. He's, you know, we've seen it all throughout the season. He's good at cutting through the pack, so that's my pick.
Well, we'll find out in 25 minutes' time. The 5 red lights come on, the 5 red lights go out. We are underway. Big amount of wheel spin from the pole sitter of Joe Glass. Stuart Brearley might be able to get the jump in the Lotus 79 livery Toyota GR86 on that run in towards turn 1. Potentially could be 3 wide as well. As you can see, the Wiskins Racing car trying to nip his nose up into 3rd place. Joe Glass saws his way around the outside despite the poor start. Stuart Brearley in 2nd. And now absolute carnage ensues behind. Mark Brown trying to dart his way through the carnage. Ryan Dudley, Marcus Law as well trying to make the most of it. 3 wide as they run their way through turn number 2. A fantastic launch, though, it must be said, from Joe Glass, despite the initial bad phases. And Hadfield is trying all he can to find a way through.
Yeah, Etton's not going to settle for anything. There's a bit of contact there between the two, and he certainly isn't going to settle for that. And has sent another car wide. I think that was Neil Rocks it's sent wide at the moment. So unfortunate for him. That caused Mark Brown as well to lose a position to Ryan Dudley. So not good for them at all. So one little mistake there from one person has caused 3 or 4 names that we want to see getting up there for the points. Has caused them to go back down the grid a couple of positions. So that's put a spanner in the works already. But already Mark Brown's fighting back to get up the grid. And you can see there, almost going door to door with a Whisk livery car. And well, there's Pink on the outside, and I think, yes, it was Harry Fox.
Oh, Harry Fox!
Gone wide. He's gone off.
Harry Fox.
Harry Fox. I feel so sorry for him after the first race. You know, colliding with the wall. He's now coming up to, actually, just on the right hand side here on the exit. That's where he went off into the tyres. So not a very good section of the track for Harry Fox whatsoever.
Not a very good evening for Harry Fox, it must be said. Huge dent in terms of his championship, down in 24th overall. Now, if you're Mark Brown, if you're John Sylvester, and if you're Daniel Wareham, you're thinking, brilliant, sweet, absolutely, thank you very much. This is your time to capitalise. The Wiskins Racing car, that's Shane Cotton, going a little bit wide, it must be said, off the exit of the final corner into the barrier. Ayrton Hadfield round and smashed into the barrier off the exit of the final corner. Side by side as well, that's Ryan Dudley trying to nip his way to the inside of Marcus Law as well in that fight for 5th. Martin Lee not too far amiss of Stuart Brearley as well, looking to the inside of turn number 2 of the Lotus 79 machine. Breaking away though ever so slightly, 1.8 seconds now is the gap between Joe Glass and the 99 machine. Big news though in the championship. Now what happens is Mark Brown, John Sylvester, Daniel Wareham, what changes in terms of their goal for this race? Do they do anything different? Do they become more aggressive to maximise the points? Do they become more cautious to consolidate this big advantage they've been given? Does anything change, or what does change?
I know it's a big long shot for John Sylvester, but I think both Sylvesters need to do as much as they can to get as close to Mark Brown as they possibly can. That's the tight battle for points at the moment between those 3. I believe we looked at it at the start, and that's where, you know, you want to see these guys, you know, you want to see them battling out, you know, 3 wide into corners. That'd be nice, but unfortunately I don't think we're going to see it this race. You can see the Sylvesters in the background there caught up in the mix of cars, and there's a car gone round. That's Joe Glass. Mark Brown's taking the lead of the race. Mark Brown has got maximum points here on lap 2 of the 2nd race of the night, the final race of the evening, and Mark Brown could potentially be finishing off with maximum points. But my god, look at this for a pack behind Mark Brown. They're all hungry for it, and there's so much to catch up on. There's smoke everywhere. There's so much going on, Zach. Try and keep up with this.
I'll do my best, thanks. Appreciate it. I am jacked up on a copious amount of caffeine, it must be said, after being up since 7:30 this morning and driving Snetterton 2 wide, 2 deep. The 2 Wiskins boys make up the inside contingent. Inside line for Shane Cotton as he keeps 4th place. Marcus Law follows him through as well, up to 5th. Side by side with the 99 machine as they run their way in towards turn number 2. Not really much happening, but a Constantina effect behind us. Strick to the outside. That is Scott Kostrick, I think, under now a bit of pressure from John Sylvester, who's trying to pick his way through the field. Mark Brown, however, is having a brilliant run up in front. This is his moment after a poor showing in race 1. He's wanting to try and capitalise. Outside line for John Sylvester. Alex Sylvester trying to take the shortest run line through as well. He emerges side by side with his relative. The 193 and the 20 now in a straight drag fight, with one of them picking up a bit of slipstream as well.
Yeah, slipstream is going to be vital here, and we've seen it so far throughout the night where these cars are proven to be really difficult to defend against once they're under that slipstream effect. And well, you can see, look, it's brought the Sylvesters into play here as well. You've got Alex and John they were side by side a second ago, and now they're making easy work. Kostrick, then again, Kostrick's taking out Alex. Alex and Scott have both gone round, so John is now carrying the line for the Sylvesters as Alex falls down the grid. I believe still potentially off track. Yeah, gets back on now. Oh, that's not gonna do Alex any favours in the championship. He's got to be praying that something bad happens for either the Sylvester relative, if they're even related at all, or if it's a massive coincidence, and Mark Brown. You know, he wants something bad to happen to either one of them if he stands any chance in this championship fight leading into the last round. But my God, what a twist that was, just from Scott Kostrick's little mistake on the corner there. What a spanner that's put in the works for the championship standings.
Yeah, well, it's a very, very big spanner, that must be said. Fairly substantial. Ryan Dudley now onto the back of Daniel Wareham, who picks his way up now into 5th place. Marcus Law and a couple of people with some mistakes through turn 1 and turn 2. Look at Ryan Dudley looking so menacing in the rearview mirror of the race 1 winner. Toxic Munchkin in the YouTube chat cheering them both on, so he's not really sure who to root for in that particular scrap. He's lost a little bit of ground as Marcus Law is on the back, and in fact actually side by side with Shane Cotton. Now only 3/4 of a tenth separate them. Here's Daniel Wareham trying to put a little bit of pressure on as well. Duck and diving, searching for slipstream between the two Wiskins racing cars. Now a straight fight, bit of a dip downhill into the braking zone of the hairpin. Has he got the space on the inside? How brave can he be on the brakes? Not quite brave enough. But Daniel Wareham looking menacing. Deep on the brakes goes Shane Cotton. Marcus Law and Wareham's continuing to go side by side. The pink livery car has the inside opened up, but the momentum for the Wiskins racing car sees him take to the outside. But it's not quite momentum enough, or is it actually? Fair play. Daniel Wareham, Marcus Law continuing that side by side run, and a sensational run, it must be said, from the 1-2-1 to look to the outside of his teammate.
Yeah, it certainly is, and not only is he causing a bit of problems for the two Whisk boys, but he's also brought his teammate back into the mix as well. Dudley's just behind there, and he's going to, I imagine, push forward with Wareham, and so he is. He's going to go side by side with the Whisk car there, and Dudley's possibly going to get the position. Let's see if we can keep focused on that for a second and see if Dudley can pull it off. He's got the inside line ×2, and if he can hold this line, he's going to have the inside line ×3 leading into turn 1 on the next lap, but he's settled in just behind Shane Cotton because he's under attack from John Sylvester, who's up the inside of him. And John Sylvester, he did have people looking up the inside of him, but luckily they didn't send it because that would have been 3 wide, and that would have been interesting.
Interesting, yeah, very good adjective to sort of describe that. That much would do it justice. It's quite an underestimation. Yeah, that's the word. Sorry, yeah, but not with it today. I need my thesaurus, need my dictionary to look things up. Not looking things up though in the rules of racing as that move to the inside. Martin Lee trying to pick his way past John Sylvester. He knows exactly what he's doing in that regard and emerges side by side with the Platinum Racing Team car. A straight drag fight now towards turn, well, the old hairpin, it must be said, at the end of this back straight. Trying to count them in my head, it was not happening, let's put it that way. John Sylvester, one of the championship fighters in the pros, should be the one that reigns supreme on the brakes. However, Martin Lee, oh my word, there's nothing Mr. Negative about that one. Side by side now as he runs his way down the hill through turn, the next left-hander. Martin Lee, oh my goodness me, he is absolutely flying and really getting him up in some of the pros.
Yeah, that's one good thing we have seen this season as well, is these guys, pros and AMs, they're brushing that aside and they're just racing who's in front of them, who's next to them, who's behind them. It doesn't matter where they are, who they are, they're just going to race them. You know, pro and AM goes out the window when these guys are on the track, because we've seen it before where AMs have won the race overall. We've seen it before where, you know, we've got the likes of Mark Brown dominating like he is right now, and then you've got just a mix of pro and AMs behind him like you've got now. So that's a good thing to see. You know, these cars aren't just fighting the people that are in their classes, they're fighting anyone and everyone, because all points matter here. And what a line of cars we have. Look how close it is between these guys. We're just under 10 minutes into this race, and still got 15 to go, so things will space out eventually, I reckon, but at the minute there's nothing to split these guys at all.
Nope, and it's exactly what we like. Getting asked in the YouTube chat what happened to Dudley as he was in second or third. Might have just been a loss of momentum in trains like this. It doesn't really take much to tumble down a few places, but he's on the resurgence. He's looking for the top 5, and he's looking for the outside line through the outward curve. Long way round, of course, and that is going to invite John Sylvester to just nip his way up the inside. Says thank you very much, puts his foot down and takes the position pretty much free of charge. Not really much strain put on John Sylvester as he's trying to go for 2 in 2. Nose to tail, the 3 of them, as they run their way this back straight in towards the hairpin. Are they going to go 3 wide? You can see Dudley taking up to the left. There goes John Sylvester. He's found the inside line. What a move it was from Sylvester. Around the outside, those goes Dudley. He's late on the brakes. He's brave on the brakes. He's got the momentum, and he's got the inside line for the preceding left-hander. Oh my goodness me. Ryan Dudley and John Sylvester simultaneously just pulled off some of the most brilliant moves I think I've ever seen in this championship. And yet, they did it on the same car, they did it at the same time, and they continue that battle into the next hairpin as well. Outside line for the 193. John Sylvester tries to pick his way back through on Ryan Dudley. Brilliant racing that this is. Great respect. And 2 fantastic moves into the hairpin.
Yeah, well, 2 awesome moves indeed. And, well, these guys just don't know when to stop, do they? But while they sort of calm things down a little, maybe, I was going to say get into their rhythms, but John Sylvester looks like he's going to get a slightly better exit there and push on down the straight, as you can see them fighting their way through the crowds there. One thing we will pick up on quickly is this is potentially what happened to Dudley. Yes, there we go. So that answers that question. And unfortunately, a bit of an off track there. Collects with the wall. No, manages to drift it away in spectacular fashion and carry on. So well done there from Dudley. But that answers that question. That is why Dudley's fallen down the grid a little bit. So sorry, Toxic Munchkin, but that be your answer.
It's not going to be one that he likes. I think Ryan Dudley off on his own, completely uninvited, and well, the gravel trap, the door was wide open for him, and he walked straight through without realising the door was going to be very quickly slammed behind him. There was no escape once you reached the gravel trap. Fortunately, though, he's back into contention and still in this fight, it must be said, with John Sylvester, who is trying his best to maximise the points relative to Harry Fox, who, by the way, has found himself up in 8th place. This sensational battle continues on, though, with Ryan Dudley keeping the position. Harry Fox, was it not last lap that he was like 24th place? How on earth has he crawled his way back up to 8th before we even reached the halfway mark of race 2?
He was 22nd after his little incident. Yeah, I know exactly what you're on about, because he went off in a very similar area to where he went off in race 1. So that's been a comeback drive that slipped under the radar for us. And while John Sylvester's been keeping us entertained up here in the top half of the grid, and yeah, he's clawing his way back up the field very quickly, and you can see he's kind of within a second of Shane Cotton at the minute as well. So how far can Fox push it, and how many points can he grasp out of tonight's race?
Yeah, well, it is going to be damage limitation more than anything, I think, for Harry Fox, and John Sylvester is going to be wishing that he, well, was able to benefit more off this peculiar situation, because Harry Fox can actually see John Sylvester. He has no chance of seeing Mark Brown, though. He's going to need a very good pair of binoculars in order to do that. Mark Brown is doing what John Sylvester would have wanted to do in that fight. What a send! Oh my word! From Stuart Brearley to the inside of turn number 1. That was fantastic. Not really one that you often see at turn number 1, considering how fast it is, but a good move nonetheless, and channeling that amazing energy of an amazing livery on that Toyota GR86.
I was just about to mention he's got that inner Lotus in him at the minute, and he fully sent that into turn 1, but done it with such composure and calmness about him that he managed to pull off the move without any hesitation, without any slips at all. No tire, sorry, no wheel spin or anything like that. It pulled it off with ease. So it's fantastic to see around turn 1 there for Brearley. So see if he can maintain the position though, because who is it that's behind him? Daryl Morrison, who's had quite a good race 1. It was to, if I'm to say anything about Daryl. I know Daryl doesn't have any colours there, and same with Lee Rylands. I believe they are new entrances recently to the Tanso Racing Group. So I'm not too sure what the class they are in, whether it's AMs or pros, but we will find out for you as soon as we possibly can. We'll get that updated whenever possible, but he's having a good race so far against Stuart Brearley.
He is indeed, and with about 11 minutes left on the clock in race 2, side by side go John Sylvester and Joe Glass. Joe Glass has somehow crawled his way back into this fight. Fair enough. He was on pole position, of course, for this race, as naturally fallen victim to the charging pros, but still making up a good presence. Harry Fox now, only 1 car separates him and John Sylvester, and that is, of course, the AM of Joe Glass, who has definitely not got a glass jaw, let's put it that way. He is fighting tooth and nail against some of these pros to keep those positions and really showing his mettle. Now, defensive against the previous championship leader. Is that going to remain the way going into Silverstone? Outside line for Harry Fox. and, well, not really much of a contest between the two cars. Harry Fox now up to 6th, and if he can outscore John Sylvester in this race, Mark Brown out of the equation for a little bit, because he said in the championship coming into today, not really a major threat as of yet to Harry Fox. If he can at the very least beat Sylvester and not lose any points, that surely is still going to be a success for Harry Fox in this race.
Yeah, it certainly is. And well, Harry Fox has had a good comeback drive. You know, we've mentioned that so far today. So if there's anything that Harry Fox can take today and take with him into the final round at Silverstone, his comeback drive's been phenomenal, and he's made his way through a 22-car grid that was ahead of him and landed himself in P6 so far, and closing down on Sylvester as well at the moment, hunting him down very quickly in actual fact, and it won't be long until he's up there with his teammate, I believe, as well, in the other whisk car.
Potentially so. Not long left to go in this race, however, and with each lap that ticks by, with each minute that ticks by, is another opportunity lost potentially for these cars, these drivers, and sometimes these teams as well. The Riskins Racing team has really made a very good presence, it must be said, in this championship. Obviously, that's not largely how the teams championship work. There's the pro and the am coupling of teams, so it's not always going to be one outfit that take all the points, but Riskins Racing, they would be able to do quite a decent job. Just in front, John Sylvester behind Ryan Dudley, who had a dip into the gravel after the exit of turn 2, one of the easiest mistakes to make around this circuit, now finds himself under a little bit of pressure in that fight for 4th. Marcus Law and Daniel Wareham just ahead of this fight between Ryan Dudley, Sylvester and Fox as well, separated by only a quarter of a second and closing into the hairpin. Also, the gap closing, Platinum Racing car of John Sylvester having to fight tooth and nail with the Riskins car of Harry Fox as well. Side by side between them, Marcus Law and Daniel Wareham are swapping places into the hairpin. Also, late on the brakes from Fox on the inside, gets given the space from John Sylvester, has to go wide. The apex, a lot more camber than the outside, so the rotation is there for Harry Fox, who stays ahead, but continuing to go side by side with the red and white and black liveried John Sylvester. Nips his way to the inside, but Harry Fox has the advantage and has 5th.
Yeah, he's got 5th quite nicely at the moment, but he's got Sylvester flashing in his rear view mirror, and that's one thing that a lot of drivers tend to struggle with. Not all of them, but a lot of them tend to drive in their mirrors quite a bit when they've got cars either flashing behind them or sniffing up right on that rear bumper. Now, one thing that involves the Sylvester, he's not gonna like me too much for showing this, but we did have a little Alex Sylvester bad moment here, and coming around into turn 1, obviously Alex Sylvester trying to make the comeback from the earlier incident, got a back end on the grass slightly, and luckily Kostrick avoided the follow-up collision there, and Alex is able to carry on his race. Alex is currently up to P17, so he's higher than what he was before that incident, but hopefully Alex doesn't kill me. I've said something bad against John Sylvester. I've said some, I've just shown Alex Sylvester's incident, so I don't think I'm in the good books for the Sylvester boys at the moment.
No. Yeah, race 2 not really gone their way. Unfortunately, Alex Sylvester has obviously had that issue, but John Sylvester is maybe trying to make up for a bit of lost ground as that fight with Harry Fox continues in the battle for 5th. Tucked up nicely in the slipstream, Harry Fox committed to the inside. Is there any space from Sylvester? He ducks, he dives, he tries to look for it, but in the end he commits to the outside. Sends Harry Fox in quite late on the brakes, and look at the differences in lines. You can see John Sylvester taking a nice late apex to put his power down a bit more efficiently. But for John Sylvester, there's not enough straight to use that added acceleration to propel him back into 5th place. Maybe more on the cards though, because Harry Fox only a second off Ryan Dudley. If Sylvester works with Fox here, there might be an opportunity to find himself up a couple of more places as well.
Certainly might do, and we've just had reports that Martin Lee has crashed and has fallen down the grid. He was in P8, now down to P14, so very unfortunate for him, but at the moment where the points lie and where they're in question is between Harry Fox and John Sylvester, both within the same point standings, so both part of the same group. So they are going to be pushing it till the very final moment, and we're coming into Fergie time now. We're in nearly into the last 5 minutes of the race. Mark Brandt is clear, but Dan Wareham has closed down 2 seconds over the last 3 or 4 laps. So has he got enough time to make up that time needed to catch Mark Brown and potentially take the win for race 2. Zach, I don't know if there's going to be enough time, but he was closing that time down very quickly, because that was nearly 8 seconds when we mentioned him 2 laps ago, so it's not doing too bad at all, Wareham.
Well, the last lap was a 43.7 compared to a 43.1, which is a 6-tenth difference. As it stands, though, it would take 10 laps to make that 6-second deficit. Only 5 minutes and a 1 minute 43-minute lap there. Do the maths, there's not long left in this race. There's not enough time left in this race to make up that deficit. It's going to take a couple of mistakes from Brown or inhuman pace, God speed from Daniel Wareham to find himself closing the gap to Mark Brown in the final stages of race number 2. 5.6 seconds is the gap. I'll be honest, it was a straight no from me, Simon Cowell style, from Daniel Wareham catching Mark Brown, because this just wasn't going to happen. I do not see it happening unless Brown makes a mistake, which we haven't seen at all in this race up until now. Lee Rylands, though, is still fighting along in his own little battle here on the back of Richard Flutie for the back end of the top 10. With 4 minutes left to go, though, probably around about 3 laps, I want to say, left in this race. I'd say Daniel Wareham is more interested in looking in his mirrors, but looking in his mirrors is Ryan Dudley. Not anymore, though, because here comes Harry Fox to the outside, way more to the left-hand side than Ryan Dudley should be. He takes a much better racing line through turn 1, soars around the outside and up in a 4th.
Yeah, he's into 4th, but how much or how wide can he make this car? This is what's going to be vital in these last few laps. You know, we're in 30 time, like I mentioned, and Dudley's not an easy person to keep behind you. I know I certainly couldn't do it, but these guys out on track are better than me, so not going to put anything past Harry Fox, and hopefully Dudley's not going to put anything past him either. And you can see how close he's getting. We're almost inside Dudley's car as these two are now going side by side up the straight. You can see they're corner to corner, coming up to being side by side. Dudley's going to have the outside line around the right-hander, but then if he can hold it, he's going to have the inside line times 2. And Fox has gone. Fox has spun. He's facing the wrong way, but now he's going to have to hold the brakes and let people go. What position is he going to carry on in? He's just going to hold up into the top 10. So Dudley's going to claim that free position and march on with his chin held high, really. And 2.7 seconds to try and close down to Marcus Law, but Marcus Law is trying to put the pressure at the moment on Dan Wareham. You can see that they're kind of close at the moment, and Shane Cotton, is trying to put the pressure at the moment on Joe Glass, the highest AM out of the lot, and he's doing very well, I have to admit, for an amateur racer. He's up into P6 at the moment, so he's doing very well for the AMs at this moment of time. Next one, Stuart Briley, then Martin Lee, so not too bad from them at all. And it looks like Shane Cotton is going to come out ahead of Joe Glass, and Joe Glass is going to get the comeback on the outside line, potentially not going to have the momentum. And interesting, switches himself back onto the outside line for the next corner. I don't think he really wanted to fight for it, rather sit in the position he was and grab the points he's almost guaranteed, really, for winning the AMs of this race. Doesn't want to have any incidents or anything now, so he's putting a bit of pressure on, but I don't think he's going to make any dives for it, Zach.
No, definitely not. At the moment, he is behind Shane Cotton, so would be losing a couple of places. And Shane Cotton was able to, I think, come out on top in race 1 for the AMs as well. Here comes Joe Glass, though, looking to put some pressure on the Wiskins Racing 80 machine. A little bit earlier on the brakes from the 80. Around the outside goes Joe Glass, but a nice tight line from the Wiskins Racing car. Shane Cotton now to the outside of the infield section. Over the curb, though, goes the 28, which does put him in a little bit of a compromised position going into the next left, continuing to go side by side. Brilliant racing between the pair of them, and now the advantage swings the way of the 80 machine of Shane Cotton, who's later-ish on the brakes. No, he's not, because Joe Glass sends it in so late, and that is exactly what I was talking about. How late you can go on the brakes into that corner, and in all fairness, you don't actually suffer many consequences, because it's a short uphill run into the next right-hander, and if you send it in late, you're naturally going to be on the right-hand side, which, by the way, is the defensive line. Joe Glass, brilliant move and a brilliant way to aggressively but cleanly get himself ahead.
Yeah, it was clean, and yeah, it was a bit aggressive, but at the end of the day, these guys are racers, you know, that if they've got to make the move and it's slightly more aggressive, then, well, so be it. And you can see from the track map that's appeared on the right-hand side of your screens there, you know, some of these times are in the white zone, so, you know, there is a second or two in it, but you look at the track map and they're actually a lot closer than what you would think. You know, you think a second or two is quite a big amount of time. I mean, if you're talking F1 cars, yes. If you're talking GR86s, no, it's not a lot at all. So, yeah, you can see from about P6 to, I believe, P15, they're all within touch and distance of each other, really. You know, one slip up from some of the front runners and they're all back into the mix again. So, but I think at the minute it is set for Mark Brown, but two people it's not set for is Marcus Law and Dan Wareham, who are fighting out for the points. Whisk versus the Pinks. I think it's Simtech, yeah, Whisk versus Simtech, and that's the battle we've really seen between the teams for a majority of the season on track. Not too sure in terms of championship points, or we can always take a look at that after the race, but as it stands, you know, looking at each round this season, all we've seen is these Whisk liveries and the Simtech go at it.
Indeed they do. Brilliant stuff. As we are now into the final corner on the final lap, Mark Brown, there was damage limitation in race 1, but he's bounced back in great steeds. And well, for race 11 at the Tanso Racing Group Season 3 GR86 Championship, Mark Brown takes his best foot forward in the championship and takes victory side by side between Daniel Wareham and Marcus Law as well in that fight per second. Only 8/100ths of a second between the two of them. Daniel Wareham as well does a sensational job on a day that John Sylvester and Harry Fox have not had the most amount of fun. Daniel Wareham, brilliant amount of points in the championship. He's third, 26 points back on Harry Fox, and today, well, he scored a good old 95 points. Not entirely sure as to what Harry Fox has been able to do over the course of the evening, but I doubt it's 96, let's put it that way. Mark Brown, Daniel Wareham on top form, and probably at the most important time of the championship as well.
Yeah, the main thing is Mark Brown's going to be happy with that, because you can see 4.7 gap between Mark Brown and Dan Wareham, so the gap was closing. Yes, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't close enough really for Mark Brown to worry, but if this race, say, was another sort of 10ish minutes longer, it would have been up in the air. You know, Mark Brown isn't going to guarantee he's going to come away with a race win, but he done enough and he managed to get the lead early and hold it throughout the entirety of that race. So fair play to Mark Brown. My pick got the win, which is good to see, because I'm not always right. It's very rare, but it's going to be massive in terms of the points, which again, if we need to take a look over, we will. We'll have a look at the teams after we've done the results of this race before we get anyone into the booth. But yeah, well, let's go and find your results for the feature race.
Indeed, so we'll get them up as soon as we can. Race 2, 25 minutes in length, and well, did not disappoint at all. Here they are after 25 minutes of racing action. It was Mark Brown that in his fight for 5th in the championship takes the best foot forward for Pro GT and takes the victory. Daniel Wareham, though, in that direct championship lead fight, 1st and 2nd for the 173. Can't complain with that. Marcus Law rounds off the podium for Wiskins Racing with Ryan Dudley and John Sylvester rounding off the top 5. Joe Glass and Shane Cotton 1 and 2 in the AMS, and in a direct fight in the championship after Mark Proctor's absence. That's going to be one to watch going into Silverstone. Neil Rocks, Harry Fox, a disappointing day for the championship leader, with Richard Flutie the top 10. Then comes Lee Ryland, Stuart Brearley, Martin Lee, Scott Kostrick and Darren Morrison the top 15, and we'll let the rest of the names cycle their way through. Because we've got a couple of interviews to work our way through, we'll start with Mark Brown, of course, because he's our race 1 victor. Mark Brown, you were the man who had the most amount of potential, it must be said. That pole position going into race 1, obviously it was a bit of a, not the ending you would have liked, but you managed to bounce back in race 2. You managed to redeem yourself. You managed to get what you maybe so thoroughly deserved. Talk us through your evening as a whole, though. Obviously the roller coaster of emotions, the high of pole, the dip of race 1, and then the ascension once again to the top step.
Yeah, I seem to have pace now in practice. I got the pole position. Very little between me and Daniel now. I'm surprised Harry wasn't up further. I thought this track favoured him. It was unfortunate touch to coming out of the second last corner. Harry was pushing me a bit and made a mistake and onto the grass and just couldn't get the car back on the track. So I think I landed back to about 8th or 9th, but got my way back up into 5th. Damage limitation, you yourself. So wasn't too bad. Like, I was happy enough for that. I didn't think the second race would go as well as it did, but it was basically like the parting of the Red Sea. It just seemed to be the first lap. I just got through the whole field pretty easy. Couple of wee taps and door bangs, but got my way back up onto the front after the second lap, I think it was. So, and after that, they were sort of pretty insane now. Had a bit of a moment at the first corner, sort of midway through. I think it was about 7 or 8 seconds I had hit a Daniel at that time, but yeah, just a bit of a scare. So I thought, right, I'll just back off a wee bit here. I have a good banker of time here. So yeah, happy now. Daniel did well now. The first race he done good, so hats off to him.
Yeah, he did. To be fair, both of you had a decent evening, it must be said. In your fight for 5th in the championship, though, I mean, you're a little ways off the top 4, that sort of fight. But the top 5, very attainable goal, and I think you definitely put your best foot forward going into Silverstone. Which, talking of, how are you feeling? I mean, are you confident you can keep that 5th place in the championship? How's your pace looking like around Silverstone?
I don't think it should be too bad, to be honest. I think I said the same thing about Donington, but this here wouldn't be one of my favourite tracks. I just seem to struggle here. Like, I think just nearly every corner wants to murder me. So it is. But Silverstone, I think I should have good pace that now. I'd be a lot more happier with it now, so I would. As far as 5th in the championship, don't want to count my chickens before the hatch, like, but I think we should be okay. So fingers crossed for Silverstone now. It's a track I don't mind now. I do actually like it. So.
Well, fair enough. Best of luck to you, of course. Before we let you go, is there any shout-outs you want to give on broadcast?
Yeah, you're doing a great job. It's good to see it. It's good to see all the drivers and the grid we have. Seems it's getting better and better. I have to admit, every week. It's good to see it now with Tanso and the mix of drivers too. Everyone seems to be pulling their weight. We're just looking forward now to season 4. Yeah, so thanks to John and James and everyone else for putting this on. And yeah, we'll see how we fare out at the end of the season and look forward to the next season after.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you for joining us, Mark, and we'll see you back in a week's time.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Now, take care.
Take care, and to you too. Mark Brown, 5th and 1st over the course of the evening. We'll drag in Ayrton Hadfield. He was one of the drivers that took part tonight. Well, not really, because race 1, you didn't turn up for the grid.
Oh no! That was the another Hadfield. That was Adrian.
Oh, there's more of you. Yeah, I forgot.
There is. It's
the whole family tree is in a nah. You were the one that was fighting your way tooth and nail throughout the course of both races. It must be said. I mean, did you have fun?
Yeah, it was a brilliant race. I mean, the first race I had a really poor qualifying and started 3rd from last. I fought my way through to, I believe it was 13th, to start 3rd on the reverse grid, and then had an absolute nightmare of a first lap on race 2, and then come back fighting through basically from the back.
Can't complain. You had a fantastic run, it must be said. I mean, as long as you're out there and enjoying yourself, who really cares? I mean, fair play to you. At the moment, you're sat 9th in the championship. Well, you were sat 9th in the championship coming into today. What are you thinking about Silverstone there? How's your pace looking like? Obviously, you're a little bit of the way off the top 5 goal that many people would want to aspire to. But Silverstone, are you looking to pull your way up, maybe ahead of your dad?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, Silverstone's always been one of my favourite tracks. I'm pretty quick around there. So, yeah, unfortunately, I've had to miss, I think, 3 races this season. So, I should be able to show a little bit of pace and hopefully finish above my dad.
Yeah, it's always the aim. I would love to sit at your dinner table. Let's put it that way. Awesome stuff. Well, looking forward to seeing you next week. Looking forward to the next season, though. Obviously, as I say, a little bit off the top 5, but that improvements for season 4 if we see you back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm racing next season. I think the main thing for me is being able to attend every race. I think my pace is around probably the back end of that top 5 on most days. So in the top 5 is probably where I'm aiming for a full season.
Well, best of luck to you. And before we let you go, is there any shout-outs you want to give on broadcast?
No, I'm all good. Thank you very much for you too.
Oh, wow. Not even a happy Father's Day. Wow. Not even a happy Father's Day.
Threw me under the bus.
Absolute heartbreak. Adrian Hadfield, ladies and gentlemen, just remember who your favourite son is. Anyway, I think we'll let you go, and we'll see you back next week.
Thank you very much.
Awesome stuff. Adrian Hadfield, one of the many Hadfield that takes part in this championship. Finally, John Sylvester, of course. And John, before we get into your evening as a whole, dying question we have to ask. What is the relation between you and Alex?
Father and son.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Sorted.
We are father and son, yeah. I was just speaking to Ayrton and all the Hadfields that are in there. He's their father and 2 sons, so they beat us.
Yeah, the battle of the families.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's obviously nice to see that family competition in
I
sim
love it.
racing. Yeah, you've shared the same row, I think, for the last 4 races in a row or something like that. I mean, back at Donington, you shared the second row. You've done it again here today as well in race 1. But throughout the evening, it seemed ever so slightly you struggled a little bit in terms of overall pace, but you did fight your way through quite well. Very fun battles between both races for yourself.
Concentration, that's what it is, and I am absolutely wringing wet. But no, honest to God, mate, yeah. I love it. Absolutely love every minute of it. I don't mind the incidents or anything like that. I mean, they're all a good bunch of lads. I pressured Harry race 1. I could see him getting on the ragged edge, and then he put it over the edge and hit the wall. Second race, he was racing with Ryan and went in a little bit hot to the right-hander at the end of the straight. And yeah, he just put it sideways there. So yeah, I've had a good evening. Like Harry said last week, I think I've done enough to beat John Sylvester. I think I've done enough to beat Harry Fox this week.
Yeah, swings and roundabouts. It always comes back to bite you in the backside. Well, we've still got 1 round left yet, John. We've still got Silverstone and looking forward to. I mean, how is your pace? I mean, you've got Daniel Wareham to worry about in that championship fight now. I mean, yes, you beat Harry Fox today, but Wareham looks quite menacing. Do you think you've got enough for Silverstone?
To be truthful, I don't really know because it's Silverstone Classic, isn't it?
Yes, it is the legacy circuit.
And I'm not very au fait with Silverstone Classic, but I'll get in some practice this week. And yeah, like you say, Daniel, yeah, he's been on fire the last 3 rounds, I think. Yeah, he's been doing really, really well. But yeah, whatever happens. I just love it, mate. It's great racing, great bunch of guys, great commentary. I always watch. I've been meaning to come in and talk to you before, just to say how well the commentary is, because I always go back and watch the broadcast. Absolutely brilliant, boys. You do a great job.
Thank you very much. It does mean a lot. Yeah, thank you very much. And obviously, happy Father's Day to you, of course. Finding out you're now the father of Alex. You might need to ask your son for some tips when it comes to Silverstone, though, maybe.
He's getting quicker and quicker. He's settling down. He hasn't done it as long as I've done it, but yeah, he's settling down. He's doing really well. I'm pleased. Yeah.
Sent a move to the inside of you as well over the course of race 2, but you love that one as well. Before we let you go, though, John, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to while you're on broadcast?
No, just all the lads that are in here and how well they behave on the whole. Yeah, I'm very, very interested. Very, very pleased. Yeah, and like I say, the commentary, fantastic. I'll watch every stream. Give it a like as well.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much, and well, take care. And we'll see you back in a week's time.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite into the interview. Catch you next week.
Always. Take care, John. Well, Adrian Hadfield is up next, and we're back over to the Hadfield family. Adrian, hello, of course. We did just have a word with your son, Ayrton. He completely slated you and just reminded us that he hasn't had a happy Father's Day to you, of course. So, first of all, how do you feel about
that? It is what it is, isn't it?
You just know who your favourite is now, yeah. You got your priorities straight. Well, talk us through race 1, by the way, because what happened? Did you just forget to click grid up?
No, I left the room while it was on the warm-up, 5 minutes, came back, got the VR goggles back on, and the controller battery had gone.
Oh, no.
And on the Oculus Quest 2, the controller's a really hard battery, certainly with my eyes as well. So massive scramble, other controller, get the cap open, put the battery in, sit back down, and yeah, I don't know what I were at least 1 lap down when I started, but yeah, which is a shame because I got reasonable pace tonight. In practice, I were hitting 140, low 144s, which we seem to be putting me mid-table, which I'm happy with. So, but never mind, wasn't to be.
Yeah, I mean, well, you still had fun, and you got to the end of race one, which is a lot more than a lot of people would have done. Looking forward to the final round of the championship, though. Coming into today, you and Ayrton have got a little bit of a rivalry going on for 8th place in the championship. Are you sort of trying to hedge your bets as to winning that fiver in some battle? You still got it in you to beat your sons, haven't you?
Well, I do like Silverstone, but I do think Ayrton likes Silverstone as well. So yeah, it's all there, isn't it? All to play for.
Well, I'll look forward to being a fly on the wall of your dinner table come the evening of Silverstone to look at the discussions, whether it's going to be the son finally being able to top the dad, or the dad still got it, doesn't need to let his sons win at all. But Adrian, before we let you go, of course, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to while you're on broadcast?
Well, obviously John Johnson for running it this series. Without it, I'd probably be still in the depths of just racing iRace, the normal iRacing. So yeah, it's a good. I found it a good friendly league, and yeah, can't thank John enough for running it.
Yeah, it is a brilliant bunch of lads, and John Sylvester has just said the atmosphere is awesome. So it's nice that it's sort of reciprocated amongst the rest of you. But Adrian, well, best of luck, take care, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Yeah, cheers, thank you.
Awesome stuff. Adrian Hadfield then able to compete today and put his best foot forward and enjoy himself. Callum, I think, is the general consensus that we got across the two families of Hadfield and Sylvester. First of all, important stuff. We got the burning question out of the way. Second most important thing, though, is that it's always nice to sort of have that atmosphere and that feel of a championship. Tanso Racing Group, very community based. So as we head towards the end of season 3, if anyone watching along would like to get themselves involved, head over to the Discord. Sign-ups, I think, are still going on. I'm not entirely sure, but if you get over, you find all the information you need to know. But yeah, it's always nice to have that warm feel, and I think it transfers very well into the racing that we saw today. Everyone's got respect for each other. Everyone does it because they enjoy it, and that's why we see such great, clean, and aggressive racing.
Yeah, I think one of the good features in this as well is we do have, relations. We have good relations between multiple different people here, racing against each other. You've got that friendly banter going on, and good rivalries between each other as well, and battles between other families. So it adds that extra little twist and spin into the league, which is nice to see. So yeah, it's just fantastic. It's a nice community. Welcome into all kinds of skill and ability, and it's in a car that's free to all. Around tracks that are mostly free to all. There may be a couple of paid things here and there. I don't think I've seen one this season though. You've got Silverstone Legacy on there, so a nice way to finish it off. But overall, can't complain. Tanso haven't put a foot wrong so far in my eye for everything they've put on. All the races have been fantastic. Numbers have been great throughout the season. I was a bit skeptical today, because I thought, I wondered if my SDK wasn't loading things up. I only saw 12 people here. I thought, oh no, but then realised half the grid hadn't loaded in because they were in the pit still. So without fail, there's always been good numbers here, and it's just always a fantastic race. I mean, we saw that some would describe it as carnage, others would describe it as good racing. We saw that big bunch of cars that was, as you can see on screen now from the replay. Look how many of them are on one section of track there, and this is the start of race 2. So it was action packed, and well, as sad as it is, we only have one more round of this left, and that's next week. So next week is it. That will be the final one for Tanso for this season. But it won't be long till the next season's underway again, and we can relive all these special moments once again in season 4.
Indeed. So yeah, not a long wait before we kickstart things for season 4, but also not a long wait to see season 3 conclude. And as sad as I am to see it end, I'm looking forward to see it conclude. I know that's a very big contradiction in of itself, but I'm looking forward to seeing how the championship wraps up. But also, I'm not going to be used to having my Sundays not occupied, even though I've only been here for the last couple of weeks commentating on Tanso. I look forward to Sunday nights each and every single week, and I'm looking forward to hopefully coming back for season 4 as well. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, watching along on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, that is going to wrap up our live coverage of the Tanso Racing Group Season 3 Rounds 11 and 12 Event 6 of their Toyota GR86 Championship, live, of course, from the Okayama circuit in Japan. For myself, Zach Sweeney, Callum Mileham, it's been an honour to have you alongside us in the commentary booth, watching along in the YouTube chat. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications, as well as to not miss a single thing when it comes to sim racing. We broadcast absolutely everything day in, day out, all throughout the week, all throughout the different time zones, all throughout the different disciplines of racing as well. But we look forward to seeing you back in a week's time, same time, of course, 9 p.m. for those in the UK. For the season finale, race is 11 and 12 we just round off. Races 13 and 14, event 7 of this fantastic championship. We take to the old school layout of Silverstone. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.